The next clip is one of the best segues ever on Pro Wrestling Spotlight, I think, because they went directly from the news capsule into a guest appearance by the always brilliant Jim Cornette. He puts an end to some rumors in this section, and you get some comments from, once again, fans, Vince Russo.
Vinny Russo,
as you would call him.
Well, let's get to it.
All right, here is the one and only, one-of-a-kind, Mr. Jim Cornette.
Jim Cornette is on the phone right now as well, listening into the conversation. We're going to say hello to Jim first of all. Jim, are you there?
Yes, I am, John.
How are you feeling?
Well, getting over a little fluishness, a little gunkishness. Not too bad, though.
Gunkishness?
A little gunkishness. That's what we call it down south here.
Yeah, I had gunkishness last week.
It's also a Jewish meal.
Is it really?
Yes.
Sounds appetizing. And we're also joined here by Vinny Russo, and Vinny is formerly one of our sponsors here at Will of Thrill Video, and we're coming out with the new line of video cassettes next year, and as well as a new newsletter, Pro Wrestling Spotlight Weekly, which will be published. And Vinny, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening with the newsletter?
Well, we're looking to kick off the newsletter to come out the first week in January of 1992. The first newsletter will be a year in review, where we'll discuss what happened in the year of 1999. We're going to mail the first newsletter out free. The first issue will be free, so what we need the listeners to do right now is to get out a piece of paper and write down the address so we can get your name on a mailing list. Send your name and address to Pro Wrestling Spotlight, 136 North Call Avenue, Suite 125, Babylon, New York, 11702. And also, if you have any letters to the editor where you might like to express your opinion or ask some questions, send them also to the same address. But look for the newsletter the first week in January, and after that it will be a weekly subscription.
Yeah, and later on in the program we're going to tell you about a few different categories you could vote on for that first issue for the year-end in review, and we're looking forward to serving the public. We're also going to try to gear it a little bit towards the electronic media, radio, and television, with Steve Beverly's Mount Watch not going to be in existence anymore after January 20th, I believe, or January 27th. We hope to pick up some of the slack that Steve is going to be leaving the wrestling fans with. And that's basically about it as far as the newsletter goes. Mr. Cornette, I assume we're going to see you here next week, right?
Well, where are you at?
We're in this area, in the New York area.
I was going to say, they moved it now. They moved it. I had a very interesting conversation with Gordon Scazzari on the phone this morning, and all I can promise is that it's going to be a fun night with thrills, spills, and chills for everybody involved.
Now, you still won't be at the Asbury Park show, though, right?
No. The 14th, we are in Ambler, Pennsylvania for Jolt and Joel Goodhart. But we will evidently be there the 16th now, not the 15th. Mark that down on your calendars, kids. The 16th in Massachusetts. Lowell, Massachusetts.
Have you ever been up there?
Thankfully, no, not yet. And where is that anywhere?
That's in Massachusetts.
Well, I figured that, John. Hey, you're supposed to feed me the straight lines. I'm supposed to give,
Okay, fine.
It's somewhere in the greater Boston area.
Yeah, I would assume it is. I think I was up there once.
Yeah, oh, well, believe me, if you ever had been, you would have never forgot it.
It's an interesting place. I think, as a matter of fact, I attended a show there a long time ago. Years ago.
Boston is, gosh, one of my favorite places. I can think of nothing more that I'd like to do than go and just visit Boston and stay there for ages. As a matter of fact, I was there for a month one night.
I was looking at the Farmer's Almanac, which I usually do when I have nothing else to do when I'm not watching wrestling, and it says that around the 15th or 16th of the month up in Boston predicted the blizzard coming in.
Oh, wonderful.
And Herb Abrams will follow after that.
Yes, with lawsuits galore for everyone.
Yes,
as a matter of fact, that's going to be one of the features of the AWF card that night in Lowell.
What's that?
Herb Abrams, dressed as Santa Claus, will come in with his bag of goodies and deliver depositions to all the little kiddies.
That's pretty funny. But there's been some things happening in your career, Jim, that we'd like you to clarify. There's been some rumors. The rumor mill is always hot and heavy in the wrestling business, and through all the newsletters, and the word speculation has been used so many times.
I like when Dusty says that, too. Speculation,
if you will. That's pretty funny. But we heard...
That's why you're laughing uproariously, right? Yeah.
Well, I just had to push my cough button while I was laughing at it. I want the listeners to think I'm having too much of a good time.
What did you hear, John?
We heard that you were offered by the World Wrestling Federation a position to come into, before Mr. Perfect was appointed the executive consultant of Ric Flair, that you offered the position and turned it down.
Well, I can honestly say nobody from the World Wrestling Federation office that I've talked to in months and months and months and months and months, nobody from the office have I spoken to whatsoever, so I've never gotten an offer from the World Wrestling Federation.
Okay.
Well, never say never, but I haven't about that particular thing.
Okay, because we hear things, and it's also the same thing that I'd heard that Kevin Sullivan was being offered a position in the WWF, bringing in someone called the Idol. I asked Kevin about that, and he said, I wish somebody would call me and ask me if that was true.
Could you imagine Jim Cornette managing Ric Flair?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I would have loved to seen that. But it's really interesting to hear Corny back then, and I was hoping beyond hope that he and Vince would have had a conversation. That was like in my mind, wishing that there would have been a conversation, because that would have been the very first time. But it was the very first time they were actually on the air at the same time in history.
Oh, that's true. I never even considered. I listened to these clips. I never even considered that.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that in those terms at that point.
Pretty historic, even though they didn't exchange any comments with each other. We were in the middle. Vince was had negotiated a videotape series called Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express, the early years, that had come out early in '92. It was a 3-part VHS that Jim picked the matches for. And we had released that in '92, and I think we had it for sale at the convention in '92 as well, if I'm not mistaken. But those two, what a history. I mean, talking about the polarization of Vince being on this program last week, and then, of course, the history between Cornette and Russo. I mean, but that was the very first time that they were actually at least live on the air at the same time.
Virtually in the same place at the same time.
Virtually in the same place at the same time.